something clicked on V1 to Sentinels to C9 within me that was just kind of like, raging is just like, I don't feel good about raging, like being angry. Yeah. And then it just kind of like stuck with me through that. And then when we dropped Vanity and Ye, and I got kind of forced into that like more leadership role, it just kind of kept like growing inside me, I guess, like the maturity or the emotional leader. And now I've just continuously I've tried to continuously stick to that because I just think it'll benefit any team if you have someone like that can like make you comfortable on stage, can still check you if they need to, everything like that. Yeah.
Everyone, Seiji2 in here. I'm here with Zellsis after his match against G2. And a lot of people have been having G2 as that top team in Americas and then some even the world. So just talk to me about the expectations initially going into the matchup, what you thought about them, and then the series.
I mean, G2 is definitely the best team in Americas right now. I wouldn't say they're the best in the world yet. Even if we were to win today, I wouldn't say we're the best in the world. I just think until you have that first international tournament, you can't really say anyone is the best in the world yet, but they definitely played like it today. We came in flat first map and we didn't really play how we wanted to play. They did, obviously. They look very scary, but the expectation was obviously to win today. We did not do that, sadly, but we don't get to be sad, only angry because we have more Valorant to play. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have another match tomorrow against the winner of MiBR and Crew. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because the winner of that is going to be who you're facing. So is there a team that you would have as like, you feel like you're probably going to face them tomorrow, or do you feel as if they're relatively even?
I think they're relatively even. I think they're a little bit two different teams. I think MiBR is more individually making plays and hero plays, whereas I think Crew does have that like hero aspect, but they play, I feel like, more together. So I think it's the kind of similar teams in talent, but different play styles a little bit. I don't really have a preference on who I like to play. I think if we play against MiBR, aspas always historically drops a nuke against us, so we need to make sure that we shut him down early. And I think the main thing for us is just we come first map ready to play, like prepared. I think we start our series very flat, like energy's flat, emotions are flat, everything's flat, and it takes us a little bit to wake up. I think if we figure out how to just start woken up, our series would look a lot better. But yeah.
I'm actually curious about that, where it's just being prepared for that match tomorrow that will qualify you for Bangkok if you do win. Because that's, I think from filming now, that's 20 hours away essentially, right? You've been in
qualifying match?
Yeah, tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
When you have such a short period of time, what are the things that as a team you do in order to just fully come in prepared and not, over prepare and then just get flustered on things you need to work on?
I mean, it's very easy to say not to get flustered because now you're in elimination and you want to do everything you can to win. But I think for us, we're just going to go back, play a little bit of the game. I'm sure the coaching staff and John will look at their VODs, talk about vetoes after the series, of course. And then they'll prep everything they did, usually that you'll prep for. Nothing really changes that much, just the time you have for it. It's like crunch time. So yeah, you don't really do anything different. You just do everything you usually do, but you have to do it in a shorter time span, where the flustering comes into. Part of crunching all of it and then elimination match all comes into it. So we just need to make sure we have like a clear head reset because, like I said before, there's so much more Valorant to be played. Like we are an elimination match, but we're not eliminated yet. Yeah. And I think players and people need to see that because, like I said, more Valorant to be played.
How's your role within the team structure in terms of like after losses or after wins and like VOD review and just kind of maybe the emotional leadership aspect evolved as you've been with Sentinels now for a year and a half, or is your role still the same when you kind of first came into the team as like part of the starting lineup?
My role hasn't really changed that much. Like it's still, everything's the same. I mean, now I'm playing Sentinel on maps, so that's kind of like the only change. But I'm still the like dad, I guess, of the team. Is the best way to put it, or older brother. I mean, you know, not everything's perfect. You know, you can't always be 110% all the time. You can only try. But I'd say my role, emotionally and everything, is still the same. I still do all of that part. So I wouldn't say anything really changed with this roster.
I'm actually curious about that aspect, because I remember back in even C9, that was kind of a role you fulfilled. But then, you know, I watched you in CS, and I still remember the kid that had the floof. Yeah. You were playing that little match in C9, the Lazarus days, things like that. Yeah. You know, talk to me about where you are both as just a human and a player from, you know, your collections from just 2024. How did you grow this past year when you look back on what I would say your career year so far?
Mm-hmm. I mean, definitely a lot of maturing for sure. I think back then I was still like in CS, like you said, I was still just kind of like a rookie like back then, and I was just trying to find my way. Now I've like found my way, but I'm more mature. I kind of understand like the confidence of things and like where I'm at as a player in my career. I think back then I was still just finding myself, young, immature, whatever the case may be, right? Like rookie. And I've just kept growing at where I'm at, whether it's discipline, maturity, anything like that. And I'm still learning. Like no one finishes, you know, especially when you keep wanting to be better, keep wanting to get better. But I would say the biggest thing is just maturity. I'd say like the difference. Yeah.
When you talk about the maturity aspect, because, you know, we talked about how you fulfilled that bigger brother role in C9, 2024 / the year just started. So like 2024, when you say you just matured a lot more, can you kind of just go a bit more in detail about that? Like with maturity, is it better emotional regulation? Is it having more of an even keel mindset for wins and losses? Like how is that maturity?
I mean, I think it's like emotional maturity. Like before I was even on V1, I was still like an emotional leader, but more like let my anger out more, like rage kind of thing. Like when we would screw up, I would yell at people and stuff like that, you know? But now I delegate it better. Like if I'm mad, I don't rage at people unless like I guess if I'm mad and I want people to sound mad, it's like your dad is yelling at you, but it's not like your friend raging at you is the comparison I would make, I guess. And that's where like the emotional thing came in. I think on C9, like I kind of got forced into it more because before C9, I understood that like something clicked on V1 to Sentinels to C9 within me that was just kind of like, raging is just like, I don't feel good about raging, like being angry. Yeah. And then it just kind of like stuck with me through that. And then when we dropped Vanity and Ye and I got kind of forced into that like more leadership role, it just kind of kept like growing inside me, I guess, like the maturity or the emotional leader. And now I've just continuously I've tried to continuously stick to that because I just think it'll benefit any team if you have someone like that can like make you comfortable on stage, can still check you if they need to, everything like that. Yeah.
I actually really want to ask you about that a bit more, because when that timeline that you describe as a whole, at least from an outsider's perspective, that feels 100% true. When you kind of go through that period where for yourself, you feel as if that it doesn't feel good to be releasing the things that I need to do in this type of manner. Let's make this change. And then for you to see those changes to how you still remain assertive, get the things that you need to talk about done, but then in a healthier manner, and then see the success. Did that success help you be able to really hone in, I guess, more into, okay, this is the route that I need to take if I want to achieve my lifelong goals of, you know, being a world champion again. And then, you know, I think you talked about how you one day want to start an esports or things like that. Sorry, that was a little rant, but
no, it's cool.
Yeah. Like, do you think that was just kind of a little validating just to see that success after that major change?
Oh, for sure. 100%. Like, cause obviously before on V1, before the Sentinel stint, at LCQ, I was going to take a break from competing just because my mental was shot. And then Rockets brought me into Sentinels, and it was just like, I mean, who didn't want to play for Sentinels back then? You know what I mean? Like they were the team, you know? Yeah. Like we still are the team. But I definitely agree. I think like me being like flung into like that success or like finding that like kind of like my fit or like where I was kind of like made it easier for me to transition or to accept, like you said, to accept that's what I need to do. And then I feel like for me, I've just kind of always been, I mean, on C9, we didn't make lands, but we were always at the top of like at C9, like in the regular season or whatever the case may be. Even last year, like we won all our off-season events, kickoff, everything. And like, it's just constantly been like an uphill trajectory for me. And I think it's just winning is definitely always easier when you're trying to like better yourself even as well. You still learn a lot when you lose, but I think for me, personality wise, I've really come into from starting where I was to now being able to accept of where like what I am now, like my personality and everything like that. But yeah.
Yeah, is it fair to say that you feel like you're becoming more of a self-actualized person? If that makes sense?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I just learned this term. No, but like it's basically the aspect of you're operating from a stance of from like your full potential instead of just operating from a place of you see these things that you can do, but then you're not doing the steps that you need to take in order to live out what you can operate at best. Does that? No.
I think like I mean, like understanding myself, how I get the best out of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, definitely for sure. Yeah. Self-actualize. Yeah. I mean, I think every player eventually needs to learn what you're good at and what you're bad at. And like the more you find what you're good at, you're always going to play to those strengths. You always want to play to your strengths. You never want to play to your weaknesses. So like finding that out, self-actualization or whatever, like I think every player should do that. I mean, I've definitely come to an understanding with myself as a player, even a person, my strengths and weaknesses and everything like that, and how I can like try and play around them to help me more, you know what I mean? So yeah, let's go.
I know when you asked for clarification, I was like, oh yeah, I don't know, dog.
Self-actualize, got it. I'm gonna steal that one.
Dude,
I'm gonna steal that one. Yeah.
All right, so my final question now for 2025, you're kind of on this whole journey, right, of just becoming like the most complete player and person that you can be. What would you like to see for 2025 for you to be able to kind of just call this a successful year in terms of just your own growth, personal journey? Not even Zellsis, just Jordan as a person.
I guess like just discipline for me is like the main thing. Like being as healthy as I can be, not just eating like junk food or anything like that, like going to the gym, being like, I genuinely believe esports players need to be as healthy as they are. Like I genuinely believe you can be healthy out of game and it will help you in game mentally, physically, everything. And that's something I want to keep striving for because I think that's where I'm like my best when it comes to emotions and physical everything. And that's something I just want to keep working on this year because I think it's easy for esports players to like dive into like degeneracy of like you're just constantly grinding and you don't really have time for anything else. But I would like to focus on still doing everything outside of grinding to make sure I can keep grinding.
Awesome, Zellsis. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.